In 1864, an Anglican priest by the name of H.W. Howe wrote a hymn which he entitled "For All the Saints." For 52 years, it remained an obscure hymn, but then in 1906, the famous composer Ralph Vaughan Williams gave it the melody that has become its signature. For a moment, let us forego the music and listen carefully to the lyrics, for they capture well what we celebrate this afternoon. For all the saints who from their labors rest, who thee by faith before the world confess, thy name, O Jesus, be forever blessed. Alleluia. If you read the media reports today about the canonization in Rome for us early this morning, you get the impression that what is most important about Pope John Paul II and Pope John the 23rd is that they were popes. One headline early this morning said that today was the day of four popes: John the 23rd, John Paul II, St. Pope Francis, and Pope Benedict. Unfortunately, those headlines miss the point. John the 23rd and John Paul II are not saints because they were popes. Of the 265 popes that the Lord has sent to us, only 80 have become saints. Now it's 82, with the two who were made today. They were not saints because they were popes. They were saints because they lived lives of heroic virtue. Going back to Williams, thou art their rock, their fortress, and their might. Thou, Lord, their captain in the well-fought fight. Thou in the darkness, drear the one true light. Alleluia. Virtue, as we know, is moral excellence. A virtue is a positive trait or quality deemed to be morally good, and thus is of value for the foundation of our lives, for how we can live our lives well. The Church has identified four virtues as being central, and they're called the cardinal virtues. They are prudence, justice, fortitude, and temperance. Think for a moment about fortitude or courage or strength. Fortitude is the virtue that ensures firmness in difficulties and constancy in the pursuit of what is good. It strengthens our resolve to resist temptations and to overcome obstacles. The virtue of fortitude or courage or strength enables us to conquer fear, even the fear of death, and to face trials and persecutions. Both John the 23rd and John Paul II were men of virtue, and especially men of the virtue of fortitude and courage. John the 23rd called the Second Vatican Council to open the Church to the modern world. He faced stern and repeated opposition and determination by some to kidnap the council to make it into their own designs rather than the intentions of the council fathers. Along with that fortitude, he was also known as a very gentle man with a wonderful sense of humor. We often recall how when he was asked by a reporter once how many people worked in the Vatican, without a moment's hesitation, he replied, about half. In all that he did, he communicated God's love and God's mercy. John Paul II, who followed him, showed virtuous courage in standing against communism, not only in Poland, his homeland, but throughout Eastern Europe. Historians have credited him with being a major contributor to the demise of communism in Europe. He worked to unify the church after years of theological confusion brought on by the natural and necessary process of growth and change. Not only did he speak out for freedom, but he was also a strong voice amid enormous criticism on the international level, a strong voice for the dignity of every human life from the moment of conception to the moment of natural death. And he called the church to take a stance of preferential option for the poor. His courage that we saw so clearly in the last days of his life showed us that God had granted to him in great quantities the virtue and the grace of fortitude and courage. And when the strife is fierce, the warfare long, steals on the ear the distant triumph song, and hearts are brave again, and arms are strong. Alleluia. This is a great day for the church and a great day for us, because these two new saints have a message for us. John Paul II canonized more saints than any pope in history. He chose men, women, and children from every possible walk of life. And when he was asked why he was so intent on canonizing saints, he said he canonized saints so that all of us, including himself, might see that we too are called to be saints. And that is what is most exciting about today. John the 23rd and John Paul II set an example of virtuous living for us. Neither one was perfect. Neither one claimed to be perfect. But both of them set their eye on the one prize that is important, the prize of Jesus Christ, and they never took their gaze from him. And what they say to us, and what Pope Francis says to us in raising them to the level of sainthood, is that we too can live with that same fortitude and courage. In our time, we are called to stand against the currents of our world that want to remove God from every dimension of public life. We must stand against those who would dismiss the unborn as being worthless and simply unnecessary. We must courageously stand for the poor, for families, and for justice. Our stance of courage need not be dramatic. Becoming a saint is not easy, but it should always be our goal. In everything we do, we should keep our eyes on the Lord and allow him to lead him and never fear that he is with us. And because he is with us, he gives us a strength and a courage, a fortitude that we cannot have on our own. But lo, there breaks a yet more glorious day. The saints triumphant rise in bright array. The King of glory passes on his way. Alleluia. Where John the 23rd and John Paul II have gone, they turn back and look for us. Let us this day recognize them in their greatness, not because of what they have said or done, but because they have lived lives of virtue. And inspired by them, let us face the challenges of our day and be courageous in proclaiming Jesus Christ is Lord.